even though European courts have blocked the government's flagship Rwanda migrant plan, it looks like some countries in Europe are actually now looking to copy it. Austria is the first one looking set to follow the UK's lead and deport asylum seekers to a third country. Now, I've been saying this all along. There's no reason why we have to leave the European Court of Human Rights. We just have to bleeding well ignore it. And joining us to talk about this and some of today's other big stories is former Brexit Party MEP and TalkTV presenter Alex Phillips. Alex, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
The world of common sense has come full circle. You're here, I'm here. We're going to talk common sense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've been saying all along, there's nothing wrong with Rwanda. The United Nations' own organisation, UNHCR, has put refugees there in the past. Israel sent refugees there before. I think Norway and Sweden have both sent refugees there. They've been sent from Libya as well. So Rwanda has already been used as a stopping off point, or at least a holding base for refugees. Yeah. Why can't we do it?
Do you know, I love it. Whenever these sort of debates rise up, it's interesting how the proselytising would-be bastions of moral arbitration of this country just completely tie themselves in knots. They're doing it over Israel, Gaza, and they are doing it over Rwanda, because what they're saying, but, oh, well, you can't send people to Rwanda, many of whom came from that particular region
it's not
in
a
the
safe
first
country,
place,
they say,
is saying Rwanda's a bit of a rubbish country, isn't it? And they make themselves seem like racists. I used to live in East Africa, and I can tell you right now, Kigali's a beautiful city. And there's a lot of opportunities for labour and work there because Paul Kagame, the president, wants to make it a city of the future. So what's wrong with sending people there? And as soon as the UK came up with this plan, there were a number of countries who gave it a sideways glance and thought, oh, we'd like to do that. Let's see if they pull it off. But this is what we've got now in the sort of, EU world of sort of showboating on the international stage. You need somebody to put their head above the parapet and do it first. It's the same with boat crossings. If Italy suddenly turned around and said, right, we're going to use the Navy to intercept boats coming from Tunisia, you can bet yourself that we'd put boats in the Channel and do the same. Someone's got to go first.
And of course, it's a massive problem for the entire world. I mean, I was saying this weeks and weeks ago after speaking to some of my friends and colleagues in America, that there are people from sub-Saharan Africa turning up on the border between Mexico and the United States of America. Nobody's quite sure how they're getting there.
I know how.
Well, you can tell me. But you know, the world sort of human trafficking business is so huge now that the world has to fix it. And we're going to have to find lots of places like Rwanda to divert people to convince them not to come.
My very good friend James Franey, who is a brilliant reporter over in America, has done all the research and investigation into this. And actually, it's all being trafficked from Turkey. People are being bought flights in Turkey to fly to South America to then line up.
So they're
on
flying
the
into places like Venezuela and
right.
El Salvador and that kind of thing, and then they're moving up through there. It's extraordinary. And so, because of the numbers, the sheer numbers coming through Lampedusa, the sheer numbers coming through Italy, through France, then to Calais, then here. This is a global and at least Western European problem.
But the other thing is that people aren't talking about enough is who are behind these migratory flows. Who are the people pulling the strings and curating this mass exodus of people? Because it's a very sophisticated operation.
Very.
Dave in whatever country didn't wake up one morning and know how to get to Calais. And a lot of these international rackets that are controlling these migratory flows have A, connections to terrorist organisations, B, of course, connections to big international cartels and criminal world.
Drugs and
but
all that,
also, and this is the one that isn't spoken about enough, people like the Wagner mercenaries who are doing this to create instability, to destabilise the West. We saw this when Russia bussed people to Belarus, to the borders of Poland, and they stood there by the fence, shaking the fence and, really sort of agitating, and it all looked like it was going to get very bloody and very violent, but Poland pushed it back quite firmly. So to imagine that Russia's pulled this trick before, we know this is what they want to do, to flood Europe with migrants. Where are the Wagner mercenaries? They're all across Africa, protecting Russian assets, in part helping to protect Chinese assets.
Well, also,
and they're coordinating these flows.
Let's not forget China as well, and if you wanted to destabilise the West, what would you do? Hit them with a virus, and then hit them with a load of illegal migration that they can't control. Now,
and
obviously,
hit them with bot
people
bombs,
would say,
dividing society.
and people would go, that sounds like a conspiracy theory. Really, does it? Well, you think about it, and you think about what's happened in the last 4 years to Western Europe. aided and abetted, of course, by Angela Merkel, who thought it'd be a great idea to let all people from Syria come into Germany, and suddenly everybody was a Syrian. You know, it was like, I am Spartacus, you know. Are you Syrian? Oh, absolutely, yeah. Oh, OK, go over there then, you can come in.
But then the other thing I don't understand about this narrative is if people are coming from conflict zones and anybody fleeing, you know, horrendous organisations like the Taliban, like ISIS, I mean, you know, pull them, try and give them some sanctuary. But how do you know you've got the person fleeing or the person doing the persecuting?
Well, we're going to be doing something coming up later on in this hour, which was shocking to me when I discovered it yesterday. But you know that one of the things that we're currently doing, in addition to housing illegal migrants in British hotels, we're also paying at the moment Pakistan to house a load of Afghans who can't get here, so they've been holding them. But you know what is happening now?
Oh,
Pakistan is now deporting people back to the Afghan borders, and the Taliban are coming and picking them up and taking them back. So God knows what's going to happen. We've got a report coming in from there this morning, which is going to be very interesting. So you can't see this as a kind of British border force problem.
Pakistan itself doesn't have its eye on the ball at all. Elections have just been called in that country for the 8th of February. It's been an extremely febrile atmosphere anyway, with all the chaos and commotion that Imran Khan caused. I know a lot of people seem to think he's this glorious hero ex-cricketer, but the man's a maniac and essentially massively destabilised the country.
Tinderbox, isn't it?
And so they've managed to essentially try and contain him, but that's created even more chaos and confusion. So Pakistan doesn't have its eye on the ball at all.
No, but the point is that we still have very close ties with the Indian subcontinent, and we have, as I said earlier this week, we've discovered that, you know, we've now been told by the Home Office that so many people coming here from Bangladesh on student visas have been asking for asylum that they've now blocked them even applying. You know, we've also got people going backwards and forwards to Pakistan during COVID. You know, one of the reasons Leicester was always in lockdown was because there were so many people coming. You know, the idea that this is suddenly just a British problem is ridiculous.
Well, the other thing is we've had a lot of people coming. At one point, the second biggest cohort of people on the illegal crossings were from rural Punjab in India, usually connected to the Khalistan movement, which is the sort of Sikh wanting their own independent state. So what we get essentially is people all around the world trying to come to the UK, some for refuge and sanctuary, others to use this as a safe space to conduct their international goings-on, because we're very slow as a country to prescribe dodgy organisations.
We don't seem to be able to see what's actually before us, do we? I mean, this is what I was saying. We'll talk about Elon Musk and his nobody has to work anymore bots, because I think we should replace the entire civil service with AI bots, because what we don't seem to be able to do is look at somebody who's coming into the country seeking asylum and working out whether they're telling the truth or not.
I wonder if it's a case of whether they can do something, whether they want to do something. And this is the point. There's a culture now in the upper echelons of society of you have to be nice to everybody, even if they're a toe rag. And it's
apart from Tories and right-wingers, of course, you don't have to be nice to them.
The people who are trying to be a little bit more firm and commonsensical. But it's a huge problem. It's a very huge problem, because at the end of the day, this is our security and our geopolitical security. Porous borders, not knowing who's coming into your country, not having a control of the numbers coming in, because even legally, the government are allowing 1 million new people every year to come in. Yes, it's net 600,000. There's 400,000 go the other way, but 1 million brand new people are coming in. Who are they? What do they want here?
Nobody knows.
Do we desperately need all these people in the labour market? I don't think so. So, you know, we really do need a mature conversation about
this. And every single European country's got the same problem. And so Austria, just to go back to them for the moment, if they launch this Rwanda plan and they make it work, then presumably there will be other European countries that will take a look at it, like Italy, like France, you know, where they're quite keen on getting rid of some of their illegal migrant problems. And suddenly Rwanda will become a destination.
Right. I mean, that it's possible. I mean, of course, these countries are also in the ECHR, but you were right in what you said in the introduction, which is the interpretation and application sometimes of this. And what we have is in the UK, our common law approach means that we sort of impose the law literally. It says don't speed, so you don't speed. The sort of French way of doing things is more like don't speed. Well, you know, it might mean this on a Thursday, it might mean this on a Monday. And so the way that we tend to interpret law that emanates from the continent is a bit more rigorous, much to our detriment. But it will be interesting to see what other countries do. But they would have all been looking at the UK and see it not take off literally. But the problem is, so will their lawyers. Their lawyers will also be looking at this. And we just have a problem essentially in Europe where we are allowing this sort of obsession with looking nice and looking kind and being benevolent and being benign to get in the way of ourselves, both economically and in terms of security.
I mean, all of these objectors who say, oh, we can't possibly leave the ECHR because we will look like like a sort of rogue state, like Russia. And you go, no, we won't. This is Great Britain.
We will not be anything. Chimneys again?
Yeah, this is not anything like a rogue state. Don't talk absolute nuts of cobblers. And by the way, there are plenty of countries that are not in it around the world who are not rogue states, and there are plenty of countries that are in it that pay no attention to it, which is why I said let's just ignore them.
Yeah, but even if we did leave it, we'd find a way of imposing our own UK canon of law to get in the way of ourselves. I don't think, frankly, we'll be in any better position until the world wakes up a bit.
Yeah.